One brotherhood, one ship. Stay bearded, stay filling. One brotherhood, one ship. Stay bearded, stay filling. It's BV. It's BV. BV. It's BV.
Yeah.
It's BV. It's BV.
BV.
It's BV.
BV.
It's BV.
It's BV and Jellified, Jimmy Beam and Bly. Reaching highest where we reach, yo, it's highest to the stars. Beats in the villain Jeep, vibrating other cars. Whose world is this? Yo, we say the world is ours. So we grow beards, no fear, photos so clear. Take another shot, so to speak, yeah, more beer. BV worldwide with a fist to the sky. Cheers, cheers, New Year's, dope rhyme, good vibes. My crew speaks power, Chi-Town bleeds power. Knowledge, wisdom, and truth in the final hour. Respect, loyalty, family, charity speaks power. Here the village brotherhood speaks honor. Forwards and onwards, stay villain to the end. I will never shave again because my beard is not a trend. I represent excellence, leadership, and never follow. I'm a BBC member, yo, lieutenant of Chicago.
One brotherhood, one ship. Stay bearded, stay filling. One brotherhood, one ship. Stay bearded, stay filling. It's BV. 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 Yo, all I see.
Hello and welcome, everybody, one and all. Hello and welcome to the Heart of a Villain, the podcast and live stream over on YouTube, devoted to the bearded villains worldwide brotherhood and the lives they are changing all over the world. Happy Friday night. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. Great to see you. Those of you who are here live, those of you who are listening, much appreciated to you too. I understand that not everybody can hang out here live with us on a Friday night, or some people probably have better things to do on a Friday night. Wait, did I just insult those of us here, or did I don't know. Well, anyway, not trying to insult anybody because I'm here. And if I wasn't here doing this on a Friday night, I would be upstairs sitting down watching TV. So I wouldn't be doing anything much more interesting for sure. But I'm so happy every Friday night I'm able to come here, spread some good news, talk about some good stuff, hang out with some awesome people here live on YouTube, and prepare the live stream for the next week. Get ready for things, process some ideas, just, hang out with everybody that's a supporter of this podcast, everybody that's a supporter of the live stream. Thank you guys so much. It's always amazing to be here. Yeah. Again, if you are new, just in case you don't know me, I'm BP from Bearded Villains of Indiana and the host of The Heart of a Villain. Been here for, we're on 56 episodes now, and we've been doing this live stream thing since episode 25. So just having a great time killing it. So thanks again, guys. As I always say, I say thank you so much just because I am so thankful for all of you guys being here. I want to just scroll up here and say hi to some people who have, as always, tuned in and are here with us live. We've got Rob with 2 B's from over in the UK. Good morning, good afternoon, and evening. Yes, it is early morning hours over in the UK right now. So we appreciate you, Rob, for being here. Hillbilly's here, though, of course, I'm struggling to stay up. I understand that, bro. We appreciate you so much for being here. Oh, man. So, yeah, thanks so much for being here, guys. Zach's in the house. Tim's in the house. We've got Jay. Jay's probably switched over to his big screen TV by now, so he's not chiming in the comments. But I'm assuming where Jay is, his better half is there as well. So greetings and happy Friday night to you guys as well for chilling out. It really means a lot that you guys take the time out and just hang out with us here. For sure. Scrolling back through. Brock is in the house. Brock, thanks so much for tuning in. Hopefully we can put a smile on your face. Brock has had a rough go, right? Brock's journey. Like that, Brock's journey. But hope everything's going well for you, Brock. And hope life is well for everybody else. You didn't know. I know Tim. I know, Tim. You should just switch your name, though, but I know it's you. But that's okay. I appreciate it. Guys, tonight, episode 56, we're going to, every once in a while, and it seems like it's more recent that I've been doing this, where I kind of just flip a script a little bit and change things up a little bit, do something different. And so tonight, I'm going to do the same thing. Today, what if you're listening today, I'm going to do something a little different. And I hope it's at least somewhat enjoyable for everybody listening. Otherwise, this will just be the podcast episode that people just left for, or at least didn't listen to and came back later. I don't know. So, spoiler alert, there is no interview guest tonight. So, if that's what you were hoping for, I guess you can go get your pizza and beer and drinks and go chill. We got some good information, though. We're going to be talking about some cool stuff, but no interview guest tonight. I wanted to take an opportunity to talk about something specific tonight. And so the timing just worked out really well. So I just figured let's go with this thing tonight. So yeah, no interview guest, but we're going to have some fun. We're going to have some fun because here's the thing. Those of you who, especially those of you who are live, I'm going to be depending on reading a little bit of some comments that come in from those of you who want to leave comments as the journey of this episode goes on. And so we're going to be back and forth, doing some chitty chat, talking some stuff through. But this week, those of you who saw the thumbnail that I put out for this episode, we're going to be talking about we're 8 weeks out. We're 8 weeks out from the end of this year that has been such a crazy year for us. 2020 has definitely been one for the record books. And I mean, we're only 8 weeks out now. For some reason, everybody, I think we've kind of convinced ourselves that when 2020 rolls around and out the door and 2021 rolls around, that all of a sudden we're going to be like, hey, it's a new year. Everything's going to go away. And it's not going to be that way, but it's been one hell of a year. And so I just want to reminisce for a second and talk a little bit about some of the stuff that was this year, but I also want to think about we're 8 weeks out from the next year. And so I want to just put a bug in your guys' ear. And it was a nice little reminder for myself too, as I prepared for this podcast. I want to put a little bug in people's ear here about preparation for the year. I think sometimes as the new year comes on, we start to think about, things like resolutions and different things like that, things that we did accomplish, things that we didn't accomplish, but it's just kind of a passing thought, right? And I want to take some time to focus on kind of preparing ourselves, preparing our minds for what is to come in 2021. And so that we can put ourselves in the best possible way, the best possible light, the best possible frame of mind, whatever you want to call it, pushing into 2021. So that is my hope with this episode. It's been a lot of fun for me. It's kind of been a retrospective journey for me to look back on the year, but also to think about what I want to do for 2021. So that's going to be the way of it for sure. Gator's in the house too. Hey, hey, hey. Hey, hey, hey. I always think about, of course, those of you who are not older than at least 30 or 35 years old, you probably wouldn't remember this, but the old Fat Albert commercials, or the Fat Albert, he did a bunch of commercials for Fat Albert, but also the whole TV show. But you say that now, I have to preface it because we have so many young people around that don't even remember what Fat Albert was. And today, you probably couldn't even call him Fat Albert. You couldn't make a show called Fat Albert today. There would be too much scrutiny on fat shaming and not having the sense of humor about it that there was back in the day. So, I don't know. But, guys, real quick, I want to delve into something fun. Check it. Breaking news. Guys, it's been a really cool week for bearded villains all over the world because, check it. We've got new chapters. We've got new chapters popping up all over the place. Brand new chapters. We've got chapters that are branching off from other chapters. So I just want to say a quick shout out and congratulations to some chapters that are really cool news that have come down over the last several days. So first of all, the Bearded Villains of Pennsylvania, if you didn't know, Bearded Villains of BVPA is no longer BVPA. Bearded Villains Pennsylvania has done the splitski, and they actually became 3 different chapters. So what we've got now, think about this now. This is in the state of Pennsylvania, which is getting a lot of press lately, but for other reasons. So in Pennsylvania, we've got the Philadelphia chapter, first of all, but then we've got BVPA that has become 3 different chapters now. We've got Bearded Villains East Pennsylvania. We've got Bearded Villains West Pennsylvania, and we've got Bearded Villains South Pennsylvania. And just so you know, all of them have their own little monikers. So the Bearded Villains East Pennsylvania is known as the Railway Villains. Railway Villains. Bearded Villains Pennsylvania West is the Steel Villains. I got to lean into that when I say it. The Steel Villains. Yeah, do you feel it? And then the Bearded Villains PA South chapter, I think they continue with the Keystone Villains title. So we've got the Railway, the Steel, and the Keystone Villains. I feel like I need to lay back into that and just tell you about the Bearded Villains of Pennsylvania. 3 chapters, the Railway, the Steel, and the Keystone Villains. So very cool stuff. And then also the Bearded Villains, there's a Bearded Villains chapter, the Goys chapter, which I was never able to pronounce anyway, but now they've become a new chapter. I think they had a rebadging or reimagining or relabeling, rechartering, whatever it is. So they are now the Bearded Villains Centro Oeste. 2 different words in Spanish that I don't pronounce well. Bearded Villains Centro Oeste, O-E-S-T-E. Somebody else could probably pronounce that much better than me. So very cool news. And what's this? Guys, check it. Within the last hour. Now, I kind of had a little heads up that this was coming, but within the last hour or so, we have a new Instagram post indicating that there's a new chapter. A new chapter has emerged in Texas. It's the Austin chapter. There's a new chapter in Austin. Get out there on Instagram after this podcast is going live. So you don't have to try and do this and watch this and do that simultaneously. But remember, Austin, a new chapter in Texas, just posted their seal about an hour ago, a little over an hour ago now. So very, very cool stuff. And this adds to the news that we got last week from Bearded Villains North Alabama chapters flipping over and becoming their 2 chapters, which were the Steel City and Rocket City. So cool stuff floating all around, man. It's very exciting times for the Bearded Villains. All right. Very, very cool stuff. Yeah. All right. So, again, guys, if you have any questions, I do want to pop this up now because some people sometimes leave, and just in case people have any questions, theheartofavillain.simplecast.com. That spot right there is where you can go to listen to all of the previous 55 podcast episodes, or you can get the good stuff, the good merch stuff. Fun stuff be coming out in the coming months. Spitballing a few other ideas, but shirts, patches, pins, poker chips, all that fun stuff. Theheartofavillain.simplecast.com. Check that stuff out for sure. And yeah, good stuff. So we're going to check out with the Gator Loves the Fat Albert. Gator loves the Fat Albert. I did too, man. You know, how times have changed, though. It's crazy how times have changed. Can't get away with that anymore. Can't get away with it. So much of the good stuff that we grew up with is so politically incorrect now. And I think I understand that there's a reason some of things, have to change. But it just feels like it's a little depressing because we've become so stuck on what's right, what's wrong. And the sense of humor of the world just can't see the fun and stuff anymore. And I understand to an extent you have to take in political correctness. But one of my favorite movies of all time, one of my all-time favorite movies could never be made today in today's politically charged PC, PC environment. That's Blazing Saddles. Blazing Saddles was so far ahead of its time, and it's the kind of movie that you just couldn't make today. You'd have so much just an outcry of this is so wrong. And there was that then too, I think, but it was nothing like, and it was completely taken in the correct context back then. It was just like, oh, that's just wrong, but it's hilarious. Now it's wrong. So you have to take things with the way things were made and meant to be, rather than, not everything is about trying to, piss somebody off. It's not always about trying to cut somebody down. So anyway, I'll get off of that soapbox there. I know it's kind of funny. So guys, I'm going to chip back into this real quick here. And in the comments, guys, tell me about some of the good stuff, the stuff that you remember from your youth, the old TV shows, the old movies, different things like that we don't think could probably be made today. That's for sure. And I just love reading that as we go on through here. So one of the things, as I said, this episode we're going to talk about, we're 8 weeks out from 2021. And so I want to take a few seconds and it's a few minutes actually. I lied. Sorry. It's going to be a few minutes. So I wanted to hit a few minutes out and talk about how we can get in the right mindset and just to kind of, reestablish our grounding for what is to become of the next 8 weeks, and then how we can push ourselves and into the most successful possibilities for the coming year. We have so much going on in the world right now. I know those of you who do not live in the U.S. will not completely appreciate this, but you will completely appreciate the sideshow that it has become. From an outsider's perspective, I'm sure that if you do not live in the United States, I know that we are just completely floored and flabbergasted at the way this currently charged political climate has become. And we know, just like you guys do, that the rest of the world is laughing at us right now. The rest of the world has to be laughing at us right now. I know I am. I just shaking my head at it. And it doesn't matter what side of the aisle you're on. The sad thing is that we have two sides of an aisle. We don't have a middle. We don't have middle ground. You either supposedly have to be on the left or the right. That's one of the biggest problems in the whole mess. But I know, and like everybody else knows, the rest of the world is laughing at us right now. So it's been, I was thinking about this phrase, which is actually an album, kept coming back to me today. And I kept saying to myself, what a long, strange trip it's been. And it's only been a week or two that it's been crazy like this, right? It seems like this week has lasted 8 weeks. Absolutely. It seems like it's been 8 weeks worth here. And I keep saying to myself, what a long, strange trip it's been. I just don't know. We're in some crazy times. So just to prep for that, we're going to bring up the old overlay slide here, boys and girls. Boom. Boom. Now we look professional. Those of you who are watching on the YouTube channel, look at that. Wow. We can go from the main screen. Look at that right there. Go from the main screen. And we can flip right over to this screen there. Kaboom. Prepare yourself. Prepare yourself for 2021. So, yeah. What are we going to do with 2021, guys? Think about that for a second. 2021. I want to preface this by thinking there's your personal life, there's your bearded villain journey, your bearded villain life, and then there's everything else. Right? All the craziness that just sticks in your head that's constantly bombarding you with stuff. It's going to be one weird and crazy. It's going to be a strange trip for sure. 2021, we're coming up on it, guys. So what I did is I want to talk and share some stuff, some of my personal feelings and beliefs about this. And we're going to push right through. Kevin says, just want to get out of 2020. I hear you. Yeah, I do too. But you know, what's funny is that even though we want to push so badly to get out of 2020, the second that January 1st gets here, we're going to be stuck with the same stuff. And, you know, we have to prepare ourselves to do what we can. And this is one of the reasons why I wanted to talk about this tonight, because we have plenty of time now. We have 8 weeks. And if we're starting to think about this now to kind of get our bodies, our minds, our heads in the right headspace, we'll start to think about that, because I think so many people just have this thing in their head that, oh, 2021, I can't wait for 2020 to get rid of it. It'll be behind us. But if we're thinking clearly and we realize that obviously, for obvious reasons, that's not going to be the case. It's not just going to disappear and all those problems are going to disappear. But we can prepare ourselves to be successful. And this is something that I did last year going into this year. It was probably the first time that I did. And I kind of went through what we're going to talk about here is some things that I actually did myself from 2019 into 2020 to try and get my head in a good mind frame set. Anyway, to get my head in good space, put it that way, so that I felt more prepared to succeed. And I wasn't just kind of jumping into the year going, well, another year, same old, because it's not, and it doesn't have to be. But if you're thinking ahead, it can be some really, really cool stuff. So we're gonna jump into this, guys, and hopefully, as we start talking through some of this stuff, I want you guys to feel free to chat, jump in and chat. Let us know. Rob says, quit job, spend a few months road tripping the States. That would be awesome. Hillbilly just wants to go to a pub, not been seen since February. I hear you. So here's the deal. The first thing that I want to suggest to you guys to do is, this is kind of like a look back. And this would be something like creating. Now, I'm not asking you guys to journal all this stuff, but it helps. It really does. I did this for the first time last year. And it helps put your head in the right frame of mind so that you can think about, look at all the cool stuff. Even though 2020 has been a hell of a year, it's been a shitbag of a year, right? But sit down for a second and do these things, because not right now, because I want you to listen and watch. You can come back and watch this later or listen to it later. But what I want you to do is think this through, because this will actually help. And we get to the point at the end of the year with everything. We look back and we're like, oh God, this has been a hell of a year. But we don't think about some of the good stuff. There have been good things. I know there have been for me. There have been a lot of good things. But we're always going to remember 2020 as the year from hell. So I want us to think about it in the right frame of mind and create a list of accomplishments for yourself. Reflect on the last year. And so when I personally think of this stuff, I think back to, as I reflect on the past year, I think, okay, what have I done? Well, I started focusing, because we got locked down at the first part of the year. I started focusing on personal growth, some things that I could do to improve myself, some things that I've been putting off for a little while, who knows what, but some personal growth things. And even though I haven't stayed up with them as much as I want to, it can become a goal for next year. So personal growth, well, let's see. One thing I did was, because I was home a lot, and family was home, we had very few options to do stuff for that first part of the year. I went out and got a subscription to one of the services so that I could learn another language. And so I spent some time kind of relearning a language that I didn't take the time to try and do when I was in school. I didn't give it its due, and I didn't want to try. So As an adult, I said, I want to try and learn Spanish again. So I started focusing on personal growth, things like that. I picked up the guitar for the first time in months and months and months and just said, I want to try this again. Personal growth. I think that's something that a lot of us have done, but you probably wouldn't think about it until you really focus on it and think back, what have I done over the course of this last year? I started a path myself. I started a path to a new career for myself. Many of you know that I retired from the police department after 20 years. I'm a stay-at-home dad right now, but one of the things that I've wanted to do, especially since I have all this stuff here in the studio, is to train myself and get some coaching for some voiceover work. And so that's something that I'm working on right now. I'm doing the training and the coaching for that to try and start a new career path that I can actually do from home and any place else that I need to. So that's another thing for me. I started live streaming what you're doing right now, what you're watching right now. Up until episode 25, I have to look back. I don't have the date stuck in my head. But up until episode 25, which was sometime this spring, I was just doing podcast episodes, the audio form. And I said, what can I do? What would be more fun? What would be something that would really challenge me above and beyond what I'm doing with the podcast? So live streaming, that sounds fun. Let's try that. And so now here we are, episode 56. We've been doing it since episode 25. That's something else that I've accomplished this past year. And it seems like, I started out, you look back on that episode, that first episode, it was rough, but it was miles above what it was like the very first time I did a podcast episode. So to see the growth and the comfort level from episode 1 to episode 25, and then that 25th episode becoming the live stream, and then jumping from episode 25 to here where we are right now at episode 56. It's growth. And it's been so much fun. It's been fun to find all of you guys that are watching this live, that watch this on the replay, and people that check it out after watching the live stream, after watching the other videos that are on there, or listening to the podcast, and they're like, hey, I wanted to check out that on YouTube. It's been a really fun transformation for me to try and do this. You have to kind of step out of your comfort zone a little bit to do it, but it's been a lot of fun, a lot of growth. Another accomplishment, I created a charity patch, my own personal podcast charity patch collaboration with Beardenville in Central England. Something I wanted to do last year, first created the idea, stirred it up a little bit, but was able to make it come to life with Clinchy's support, Beardenville in Central England support. We made it work, and we raised a few $1,000s for suicide prevention and awareness initiatives. That's very cool. I wrote a song. You guys haven't heard it yet. Maybe one day soon, hopefully. I wrote a song kind of hovering around one of the phrases that I always say. And I'm ready for that. I'm ready to be able to share that with everybody, but not quite yet. But I finished that, got that done. I fed a squirrel by hand. I don't have I was going to share the video enough that I could show it up on screen with you guys, but that's crazy. I never would have thought that I could actually be in an open park and just in a park in some place. Go over to my Facebook page if you follow me on Facebook, and you'll see the video of me feeding the squirrel, just handing it a cracker. It takes the cracker and eats it for me. Very fun. I never had done that before. So I got to feed a squirrel. Got a new tattoo. Try to do it every year. Try to do something like that every year. Got a boom, bada boom. There it is. Villains on the arm. And what's cool is I got another Ink Master brother on there. Got another person from Ink Master to do it. It just so happens to be a bearded villain brother. Jordy. Awesome stuff. So, you look back on this stuff and you think about, what have you done this year? Create a list of accomplishments for yourself. Specifically within the Bearded Villain community, within our chapter, within my chapter here in Indiana, we did a virtual MS walk, raised some money for that. That was when the virtual idea was just starting to stir about a little bit. We weren't able to do stuff. We did a virtual walk. Many chapters have been able to do that. Donated some stuff to the homeless. done that a few times. Our chapter awarded a scholarship to an incoming college student. So if you look back on your year, guys, I think you'll be really excited to see the stuff that you've done. And it can really help kind of spur the ideas for the next year. So I want you guys to think about that. Think about creating a list of accomplishments that you've done. Next thing I want you to do is create a list thinking about those things that you did this year. Create a list for 2021 now, 8 weeks out. Don't do it as a resolution. Don't do it as a resolution on New Year's. Do it now, because sometimes you need to think about things to get yourself in the right mindset to be prepared to do it, to do what you want. So your career, was there a job change you want to do? Do you want to change jobs? Do you want to change a part of your job? Travel. Heck yeah. Travel, man. I mean, for me, going back to the career, okay, I want to finish my training and coaching for the voiceover work. Travel. I want to travel to as many regional, here in the States, regional Bearded Villain events as I possibly can. And I'm going to do that provided that the events they're being held. I would also like to very much like to try to get up to Canada. If our borders open up and the COVID thing stops, I want to get up to Canada, visit our brothers up there. I don't know that next year is going to be something where I can go overseas, but it's something that's on my long list of goals for next year. I would love to be able to do it. I'm not sure if finances are going to work it out that way, but it's on there. Some people like to create vision boards. And I have that listed up here because vision boards work really well for some people. Other people just kind of, I don't need a vision board. But when you put something down on paper, when you create an image for yourself, and this is not a new practice by any means. I mean, there's if you can find stories, hundreds of stories of athletes, professional athletes, musicians, very successful celebrities, different people who have created a vision board for themselves. And they looked at it. And they looked at it. And they looked at it day after day after day. And they made sure they willed it to an existence. They willed it to an existence. If you ever really want to be inspired about somebody doing something like this, go out on YouTube and find Jim Carrey telling the story about how he wrote himself a check for $10 million and stuck it in his wallet. It's such a great story. And it's a version of a vision board of willing something to happen if you had that goal in mind. It's very easy for us to just, I want to do this. I want to do this. I want to do this. And then you never get around to it because it's not there in front of you. There's not a reminder. We need those reminders. We need to be pushed. And I don't know if you're a inspirational person, if you really fall into the laws of attraction, but there is a side to that as well. That you can put yourself in a position for something to happen, and you need to be open for that if you believe in such things. So think about that now. We're 8 weeks out. Think about now. Think about what you can do to create a list for 2021, what you can do to prepare yourself to be more successful in what you want to do for your career, for your travel. Give yourself a vision, something to look forward to. Absolutely. Okay, moving on. Another list. This is a fun one. List of your biggest lessons learned. Now, this can be as sarcastic as you possibly want it to be. Create a list of your biggest lessons that you have learned over the course of the year and give yourself honest answers. The good, the bad, the ugly. The good, the bad, the ugly. And we've had a ton of stuff this year. You can use your own list here. I'm curious, those of you who are watching live right now, what are some good lessons that you've learned this year? What are some bad lessons? And the bad lessons don't necessarily have to be something you can't learn from. They're just bad lessons. And then the ugly stuff. But create these, think about this. If we don't process this stuff through, they just become passing thoughts in your head. And that's why I'm so big on this idea, because by processing it out, writing things out, creating a vision board, doing things like that, it lets you put out these images, take them out of your head, and put them down on paper. And it's so much easier to think about things that way. So definitely keep that in mind. And when you're thinking about the lessons learned from the previous year, think about it this way. If it's not adding to your life, ask yourself, is it subtracting from your life? That kind of goes back to something one of our bearded villain brothers, a great captain up in Chicago, is always talking about, right? That bearded villains should add to your life, not take away from it. He says it much more eloquently than I do. But it should be a benefit to you, not a negative. And the minute that it starts to take away from your life, from your family, from anything else, you need to reassess. But it goes so important. It's such an important thought to think about going forward. If it's not adding to your life, ask yourself, is it subtracting from your life? And if it's subtracting from your life, do you need it? Is that something that you can take out? Definitely something to think about, guys. Moving on to think about what I want you to do. This is a terrible one for me. Fix the procrastination habits. I am a terrible, guys, I am a terrible procrastinator on things. Those of you who know me well know this to be. You know this to be true. I mean, I can procrastinate. If it's an Olympic sport, I've got the gold medal, guys. You guys can't even begin to compete with me. So if you're a procrastinator, this is important for you. We're 8 weeks out, right? What are some of the things that you can do that, that you can move forward with? I got to share this. Brock says, I had a huge lesson learned. When you're drunk, don't act like an idiot and pick someone else up. Absolutely. When you're drunk, don't act like an idiot and pick someone else up. Even a big, strong guy like Brock, right? It ends up badly. So, great lesson learned. That was a bad one, but it's a good lesson now. Unfortunately for him, he's going to be laid up for a little bit, but it's a lesson learned nonetheless. It's an absolute lesson learned. So let's fix some procrastination habits. This is something that I do. I have to think about for myself. And what's funny is I had this on my list last year. And this will be on my list every year because that's how bad I procrastinate with things. Fix procrastination habits. What have you been putting off? What have you been putting off? Well, for me, a lot of stuff. I'm one of these guys. I don't know if you're like me, guys, but I'm one of these that I get really excited about doing a job. Especially odd jobs, things around the house. I get really excited about doing some project. And I get it about 85% done. Then I see that light at the end of the tunnel. And I'm like, that looks good. That looks good. And so often I get to that 85%. I get to that 80, 85, 90%, and I don't carry it through to the finish line. I don't cross the line. So there's so many things around the house. This is something this is, as I was writing this list, this is one of the things that I want to focus on, very, very focused for myself, because there's a bunch of small things that I can get done in the next 8 weeks, even if the weather turns bad. There's a lot of stuff in the house. So, things like this. Those of you who notice that I did this revamp of the podcast studio, right? So I did this podcast studio. Those of you listening on the audio form aren't going to get the full benefit of this, but you'll see. So I just switched cameras, and here I am. I've got this new setup behind me. I love it. I've got the shelves behind me. I've got the tabletop or the desktop. I put some cabinets in. I painted everything, and it looks awesome, right? This is just smokescreen. There's stuff I still have to do to this setup, but I got to that 80%, right? I got to 80% and I said, where's the finish line? Like Bearded Irishman says there. I'm like a squirrel. Get the work done before the snow gets here. Well, that's nice for you, but I'm like the other squirrel, or I'm like the other person that sees the squirrel. Squirrel, squirrel. And I run off and I jump to something else. So of this desk behind me here that I've put together, right? Let's see. I wanted to put some handles on the doors. I've got 2 drawers and I've got cabinet doors, and I wanted to put some handles on those. Still haven't put the handles on them yet. So they're not finished. I sanded them, which I will say this. This was a step in the right direction for me, because normally I would shortcut that step of sanding. You go buy the cabinets at like Lowe's or something like that, and you have like the unfinished furniture. Normally it feels smooth enough, and I would just go ahead and paint it, stain it and paint it. But I took the step this time to actually sand it first, even though it didn't feel like it needed it. All of the tutorials say sand it first. So I did, but normally I wouldn't do that. So I said, I got to do it right this time. So I did. So I got them painted, but they still don't have handles on them. The desk, or the countertop rather, the countertop that's back here is not permanently affixed to the cabinets yet. It's stuck on there. I laid it on top of there, but I haven't taken the time. And it's just like a 10-minute thing, right? Get a couple screws, level things, zip, zip, zip. I haven't done that yet. So procrastinating. I get to 80%, 90%, and I move on. That light at the end of the tunnel, guys. So I'm terrible about that. I've got little projects all over that are like that. So I'm hoping to be able to use this. I'm learning from my own words here. I'm my own worst enemy, but I'm learning from my words. And I plan on doing a lot of these little things at once. 20% here, 20% here, and I'll be able to check off a whole bunch of things that I only got to 80% or 85%. So I'm really looking forward to being able to do that over the next 8 weeks, so that I can something fresh, so that I can, take a hold of other things. So finish the small stuff. Finish that small stuff. We all have those lists. Nobody's perfect. I've known some type A people that get stuff done, and they get it done good and fast. Not me. I'm really good for that first 80, 85%. I will doggedly work hard 85% of the way, and then I see that light. Squirrel. Something else shiny. So yeah. I saw some good comments coming through there. Fear of completion. Really, Rob? I would never thought that. Fear of completion is a recognized condition that subconsciously scuppers your motivation. I love it when our UK guys chime in. They have different terminologies for things that just sounds fun. I don't know if that was a typo or if that's an actual word. I've never used it before, scuppers. But I like how they type recognize. They spell recognized with an S instead of a Z. Oh, it's the little things, guys. It's the little things that make my day. Absolutely. Threeper, do not hope to cross the finish line. Expect it. There's the motivation we need. Absolutely, bro. Good stuff. Good stuff. Okay, so let's move on before we lose all of our viewers. They're like, "What is this podcast tonight? What is this thing? We don't have an interview guest. We don't have what is this guy? What is BP doing to us?" I'm educating y'all. We're talking. We're going deep tonight, right? We're going deep. The next thing I want you to do, purge. Purge, purge, purge. Purge everything. Purge everything. Oh, this is something I've gotten really good at over the last couple of years. But there's still stuff there. And it's not just purging what you see. Think about this. This is something new. This is a new mindset because right now, when we say purge, when you say purge stuff from your life, there's so much there. There's so much to unpack when you think about purging, right? So when you start thinking about purging, okay, you're throwing different things. Now, when you start talking about physical belongings, okay, let's go there first. Physical belongings. So you got clothes, you got other things, you got, dishes, you got all sorts of stuff. Looking at the picture here, you've got all sorts of things that you can purge. Physical stuff, the physical stuff that weighs us down. If you haven't used it, looked at it, or touched it for the last year or so, chances are you really don't need it. Chances are you really don't need it. And if it's something that somebody else can use, even better. We like to give stuff to people that can use it. So let's not weigh ourselves down with all this stuff. Purge some of that stuff out. Declutter. Get a chance to recycle. Go through some of those electronics that are on the back shelf somewhere in the back part of your basement or your garage that you're not using. Get rid of some of that stuff. Being able to walk into a once cluttered space and see it clean, holy cow, talk about motivating. Talk about a good feeling, right? Get rid of that stuff. But aside from just the physical belongings, oh boy, we're in a social media world right now. And there is so much that we can purge to keep positivity in our lives. I mean, you can, if you think about, take this from a different perspective. It's not just the physical stuff. There's so much that weighs us down on a daily basis. Right now here in the States with the election going on, I know people that have completely sworn off Facebook and a lot of social media, really, because they don't want to see and hear all of the negativity. And it's become such a negative place. What used to be a fun place to go to catch up with your old high school friends or people you haven't seen in a long time, it's become this resource to feed us with all sorts of negative stuff, to feed on our fear, to feed on our everything, feed on our fears, our worst fears. It fuels us. And it's not just Facebook. There's so many other sites like it that do the same thing. So with 8 weeks to go, we're 8 weeks out. Something to think about is to think about what you can purge from your life that will elevate you. What are some of the things that you can purge from your life that will take away the negativity that you have right now? So first off, if you're like me, and you guys, I'm sure that some of you will appreciate this, but if you look at my phone right now, and I'll share it up here with you. Whoop, there we go. If it would focus on my phone, you guys all have the smartphones and you've seen the email app, right? Currently, right now I have 3 or 4 different email accounts that are sitting in here, but I have 9,416 emails. Actually, more than that. Those are just the ones that I have technically have not opened and read. 9,416 right now. I need to purge. I need to purge that stuff out because I don't need it. But time gets away from you, and you're able to scroll through there and see, I don't need that, don't need that, don't need to read that, don't need to read that. And without opening it, it just sits there. And it just sits there and sits there and sits and builds up. And then next thing you know, you have 9,000 emails. I think at one time in my life, I had like 15,000, I think it was. Crazy. So we need to stay up on that stuff, right? But what are some of the other stuff? What are some of the other things that we need to purge? You've got friends lists. Friends lists from all sorts of different apps that you've got, people that you don't even know. I'll never forget the first time that I actually was walking through a Walmart or one of those kind of stores where I knew a person when I saw them because I had them as a friend on Facebook and they lived in my area, but never once did it was a common friend type of thing, you know, and we all have those. But never once had I ever carried on a conversation with this person. Never once had I ever met this person. This person walked right by me in a Walmart, made eye contact with me and everything. And it was like strangers in the night. We didn't even know. But yet I could have told you everything that she did in the last week. I could have told you what she was doing, hanging out with the friends and she has a couple of really good friends that I worked with at the police department. So it's funny how things how things weigh us down. So let's get rid of all that stuff. Start purging some of these things, that all the negative social media stuff. If we can purge some of that from us, we will feel so much better. So much better. Okay, guys, we're rolling down through it. Coming down to the home front here. One of the other things that I like to tell people that I like to do for myself is upgrade your surroundings. This is one of my favorites because it's immediate. It's immediate. Look at this. Back here. I used to have an area where I was stuck over in a corner, and I said, nope, no more of that. I didn't have 2 cameras at all the time. I didn't have 3. Now I've got 3. I've got this huge space now. Around me, I've got lots of room. It's a very appealing, inviting location for me to do the podcast and live stream stuff from. And I've got memories from the past, all sorts of stuff around me. So declutter. Upgrade those surroundings. Get rid of some of the stuff. Get rid of that stuff so you can prepare yourself 8 weeks out. Do it now so that when January 1st comes around, you're set and ready to go. There's a fun quote I love. I came across this a few weeks ago, and I've been waiting to share it with everybody because I love this, and it really pertains to the process that we're talking about here. Getting yourself ready for new beginnings and ready to spread your wings, right? It says, a bird sitting in a tree is never afraid of the branch breaking because her trust is not in the branch, but in her wings. A bird sitting in a tree is never afraid of the branch breaking because her trust is not in that branch, but in her wings. Man, deep stuff, right? Think about that. Be aware of the different things that you have to offer and see it through. Prepare yourself for success coming into the new year. 8 weeks out. 8 weeks out. But don't be afraid of all that stuff that you're standing on. because you have the ability to lift yourself above all that crap. So it's such a great reminder. And the last thing, guys, to think about is to think about rekindling those old and lost friendships. Now, if there's one thing that 2020 has taught us, right? There's one thing that 2020 has taught us, it's that time is short. It's that life is a fleeting thing, right? So we need to think about that. Reach out, make plans with people to the best of your ability. But all of these people that are friends and people that have been in your life, reach out to them. That friend of yours that you haven't seen in 20 years, reach out. You don't want to have regrets. Like I said, if there's one thing that 2020 has taught us, is that life is short and it needs to be, you really need to focus on what's important. And what's important isn't all the crap that we've just been talking about that you're going to fix. It's a refocusing on what's important. We're 8 weeks out. Focus on what's important, or what you want to be most important in your life. The people that you want to be with, the people that are most important to you, and the different things that you want to do. You have to get out and enjoy life. Don't be a prisoner to what other people say it needs to be. We're 8 weeks out, guys. I keep saying that because it's a great reminder. 8 weeks. And we know that when that calendar year hits, like we've said, it's not going to magically flip and then all of a sudden things are going to change. The doves are going to start flying through the air and lo and behold, it's a new day. But we need to prepare ourselves for success. We have 6 new chapters that have come out just in the last week and a half from Bearded Villains. That's 6 chapters that within their specific regions are going to be able to reach out and have a firm grasp in their area. And they're going to be able to do some amazing things. Just like so many of the other chapters that are out there all over the world. And it's one of the things I love most about this podcast is being able to see this, to be able to hear those stories, to be able to talk to you guys, to be able to see this, all the different ways that we're affecting change, both as Bearded Villains, but also as people. Because as we've said before, everything that we do doesn't have to be as a part of Bearded Villains. So that's just something I want to encourage you guys to think about. I know this is a weird episode, but it was important to me to think ahead. I like to plan things out. My head, I like to get lost a little bit in my own head sometimes. So I apologize to those of you who came on and were like, what in the world is this episode? But hey, it's my podcast. I'll say what I want. But it's just, this is old BP being BP here. And sometimes I think it's important for us to take some time and thought, thinking about what we want to do, thinking about who we want to be, thinking about the lives that we want to change, and trying to figure out new, inventive, creative, or just some of the same old ways that have worked forever to do some stuff. We have such a great opportunity in front of us. The Bearded Villains represent something that not a lot of people ever get a chance to see, or at least be a part of. And the world is so negative, especially here in the States right now, that I'm excited. I'm excited to see what we can do. I'm excited to be able to get back out there and even if you're wearing a mask, to get back out there and be a part of life again. To be able to show people that there's good in the world and it doesn't have to be political. At least that's one of our biggest issues here in the States right now. It's crazy, guys. It's crazy stuff. If you are looking for an all-natural beard oil that will not only tame your beard and coarse hairs, but make your beard soft and smell amazing, check out Pulpo Beard Oils. Veteran-owned and made for today's beards, Pulpo beard products combine the best beard ingredients on the market with incredible customer service to ensure your happiness. Whether you need beard wash, beard oil, beard balm, or some fun clothing, Pulpo is the place to go. Feel fresh, feel savage, feel confident with Pulpo Beard Oils. Go to Pulpo Beard Oils, that's Pulpo beardoils.com, and use the code The Heart of a Villain for a discount on your order. Okay, guys. Well, we have some stuff to talk about here. We do have a calendar of events items that we can bring up for sure. November 7th. Well, today's the 6th, so you know what tomorrow is, the 7th. The First Coast Villains. That's our brothers in Jacksonville. They have a Walk for Purple Stride. Walk for Purple Stride, raising funds and awareness for pancreatic cancer. If you can help our brothers out in Jacksonville, the First Coast Villains out, any way possible, please hit them up on their IG bios or the First Coast Villains bio so you can reach out and maybe give just a couple bucks to their cause. They also do, as far as I know, they still have patches available, so you can always donate that way and get something in return, but we don't always need to do that. We can just give. That's the First Coast Villains Walk for Purple Stride. That is tomorrow, but I'm sure they'll still take the money. You can't do it before then. Friday, November 13th, this is one I can't wait to see pictures of. The Phoenix Bearded Villains have an All Villains Eve, they're calling it. All Villains Eve. It's a charity pro wrestling show benefiting the Phoenix Children's Hospital Toy Drive. How cool is that, guys? How cool is that? A charity pro wrestling show. Very cool stuff. That's Friday, November 13th, which is also my birthday. Those of you who want to send me gifts, please do. It'll take a few days to get here. So plan ahead. November 13th. Saturday, November 14th, guys, the Bearded Villains New York Upstate chapter has their polar plunge. That's right. So many of us do our polar plunges in the spring. They're doing it when it's cold now. In upstate New York, it's cold now. Polar plunge benefiting the Special Olympics of New York. If you can help out, I'm sure those guys have their pages ready to go to accept some money. The Bearded Villains Upstate, hit up their chapter or any one of those guys to see if you can, just a couple bucks, guys. Throw some money that way for their cause. If we all did that, imagine how amazing this place would be. Just a couple bucks here and there to donate. You could donate $5 a week to 4 different places, $1 each, $1.50 each. Everybody did that. It's nothing out of your pocket, but it adds up for everybody else. Cool stuff. December 12th, BVIN, Beard Villains, Indiana, helping the Twisted Foundation with a toy drive benefiting Alternatives Local Domestic Violence Agency. 12 to 4 p.m. at Fortune Academy, 5626 Lawton Loop East Drive in Indianapolis, Indiana. It's a toy drive they've got like an auction there, I believe. I went to that thing last year. It was amazing. It was amazing to see the amount of toys and the different things that are available for people to purchase to raise money for. It's just crazy. So hit up the Bearded Villains of Indiana if you think you're in the area that you can go or if you can donate. It's very cool stuff. Very cool stuff. All right. And then I do know here before too long, we're going to hear from Bearded Villains of Ohio promoting. They have I believe, some sort of a toy drive also. Somebody will correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Irishman, if he's still in here. I don't have a date or any of those details on that yet. but hopefully I will get those from said individual in time to be able to share that news so everybody can donate if they want to. So guys, thanks so much. Thanks so much. Again, those types of things I love. The ability for us to be able to donate just a couple bucks here and there. It's nothing. It's couch cushion money. It's the money you find underneath your car seat. It's money you find on the road. Couple bucks here and there. If each week, or even once a month, you're able to donate a few dollars to each one of these causes, and I'm my own worst enemy on that. I say it, and I don't always do it. Something I want to get better at. But the time to do it is when you're thinking about it. And that's what we want to do. That's why I want to keep reminding everybody. Once a week, I'm going to be here to reminding you who's got stuff going on and how you can donate, where you need to look up. So hit up our brothers out there doing some really amazing things, raising some money for some very cool organizations. Let's continue to change the world, guys. All right. Guys, I appreciate you being here. I appreciate you having patience with me as I talked about what we're going to do for coming into 2021. That's going to wrap up episode 56 of The Heart of a Villain, guys. Remember, you can still buy those shirts, patches, and pins at theheartofavillain.simplecast.com. And guys, I want to remind you and challenge you to be the villain that the world needs you to be. Be the villain the world needs you to be. Because the heart of a villain, guys, never stops beating. Finally, guys, as I always say, please remember, it's okay not to be okay. If you are hurting, please find a brother to talk to. Remember, it's okay not to be okay. So for now, guys, have a great week. Enjoy that week ahead. Take care. Stay safe.
From my chapter to yours, we're all one, no borders. Don't get it twisted like contortionists in close quarters. My crew has more heads than peeps cleaning up on borders. When Blah, Jelly, and I, we come together, transformers. So when we meet up, handshakes, bruise,